Hi, folks, and good afternoon. Thanks for joining me on a Monday on Money and Politics. And it's not a good day for the market. Not a good day to be a holder of Humble, right? I'm sure you all know that. My overall market, I think almost everything I had, without exception, went down today. So it was not a good money making day. Hmbl went down almost 20%, 29 cents to, as you can see, $1.20. And what can I say about that? Well, I think a couple of things. One, we didn't know what the reaction would be to the Friday's call by investor call by Brian Foote. I thought at the time I wouldn't be surprised if we had a sell-off on Monday. And, obviously we got one. And it was down more than the overall market, although the overall market was down. Both the NASDAQ was down 2.5%, which is a pretty sharp decline. The Russell 2000 down 2.6%. And the Dow was down almost flat, but down slightly. Yeah, this was a bigger sell-off in Hmbl than it was overall. Let me bring that back in again. Than was the overall market. And if you look at the volume, it was down on heavy volume. So that is also significant. So what do we do? Well, look, here's a couple of things. One, we're going to have to say, if you have a change in a position in the company, let's look. Did something change? Is there a material change to the company? A month being done by Top Shot in selling ETFs, in NFTs. And they got Monster so that they could be creating the NFTs and getting some of that money. They also announced that they did over $1 million in a 30-day period recently with Tickery. So is there a material change to the company? Yes, and certainly a difference in the addition of Monster. But that's not a negative, that's a positive. And Tickery selling is a positive. So then you might say, is there a change in the competition? I don't think so. Now, there's always chance that something could come along and just blow any company out of the water. Years ago, you might have had a great company making VHS tapes, and then someone comes out of the blue with a DVD, and there you go. No one wants your VHS tapes anymore, and you're not going to be able to compete. So is that a threat? That's always a threat. That's always an open threat for anyone. I mean, Sears did not see Walmart coming, nor did Woolworth. And those were two powerhouse retail companies. So you got to be able to keep up with the competition. Number three, has the overall market conditions changed? Not yet, but I think there is a bit of a threat in the overall market conditions relative to going from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. And the Biden administration wants to apply more taxes, which is not good for business. Irrespective of your political leanings, that's not good for business. But right now, they haven't been able to, as yet, put on those taxes that they're talking about. And I'm not sure that they're going to be able to. Remember, the U.S. Senate is divided 50 Republicans to 50 Democrats. And so the Democrats control by virtue of the vote of the vice president. And in the House, the Democrats have a very slim margin. If they lose something like 5 votes, I think they can't control the agenda. So I'm not sure that any of these proposals for dramatically different taxes will be able to pass. For now, the overall market conditions have not changed, or you could say, to the extent that they have, again, one could argue that they're changing to the better. And why is that? Well, because we're coming out of COVID, we're coming out of a shutdown of the world economy. And so relative to Hmbl, which is, I presume, what you all want me to talk about today, relative to Hmbl, Tickery is going to be able to sell more tickets to more sporting events, more concerts, etc. So have the overall market conditions changed? They are in the process of changing for the better relative to the reopening of the world economy. They could change for the negative relative to taxation, but as I've already said, that's not necessarily going to happen. And so if there is no material change to the negative, if there is no negative change in the competition, if the market conditions have not gone downhill, then you can hold on and let the position ride. Now, what should you do on right now? And we're all down, we're all hurting, nobody likes us. I've been down before and I've come back before. Is it ever nice to be down? No, it's not fun. So what can you do? Well, number one, you can say, screw it, I'm selling everything and walking away. That's your option. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not your advisor, as I always, start off with it. And I don't know your situation. I don't know how much cash you have. I don't know if you're living hand to mouth. I don't know if you're sitting on $18 million. You can always just say screw it and walk away. Number one. Number two, you can sell a part of the position, raise some cash, and maybe feel a little safer because you have some more cash sitting there. Even if what you're selling is at a loss, you might say, I don't want to get all the way out, but I'm going to take some money off the table. And then that way, if it goes lower, you're going to go, well, at least I got out at $1.20. And if it's at 85 cents, I'm not saying it's going to be, I'm just making a point. If it goes down further, then you can say, well, I'm glad I took some money off. So you could sell part of your position. Number three, you could buy the dip and say, I don't think there's a material change to the company to the extent that I've gone over those points. It's gone to the positive, not to the negative. So you could buy the dip. And number four, you could do nothing. You could just let the position ride. So basically, folks, that's your options on Hmbl right now. If your position on the B shares is that you're just really ticked off at Hmbl on the B shares, and that's your big thing, I don't know what else to tell you about it because it is what it is, and nothing I say is going to change it. We already got what Brian Foote said. We covered how, and I said this with my son Thomas too, if you didn't look at it, you can look at the thing we did on Saturday with Thomas and I talking, but Brian's not going to be selling any of his shares until 2023. The other people who have 16.5%, who are the managers and people working in the company,
they also will be subject to strict selling limits on their shares. So it's not like they can just walk in December and start flooding the market. These are people who have been at this a long time at their own cost and their own hours. And then lastly, we have about 38% of the Hmbl shareholders are folks who are angel investor groups, people who have invested in us to build this business over time.
The point is, if you're really upset about the B shares, then at this point it's not going to change, and your options are what I said. You can either just say screw it and walk away, sell your shares and go look elsewhere, or you can remain pissed off about it, but hold on to your position and wait for them to come back. If you think it's not going to come back, you can think that. I don't think that. I don't think, when we look at the strengths of this company, that's what is really the thing that is going to be happening. Again, the story probably as well as I do. If you sell out at $1.20, then the question is, how are you going to feel if come, let's say, December, what if the stock is then at $5? And what are you going to say if next May the stock is at $10 or $12 and you sold out at $1.20? Now, this presents another option, and I'm just trying to run through this logically for you. I'm not trying to be a cheerleader here, but I want to help you think through. Given your situation, you got to make the decision. If you sold out at $1.20, if you think it's going lower, then you'd be better to sell at $1.20, wouldn't you? On the other hand, if you sold at $1.20, you might also want to make the decision and say, if the stock goes higher, I'm going to wait until it gets to $4, or I'm going to wait till it gets to $5 before I decide it's safe to get back in. That is another option. So, folks, as I said, it's painful, I know, and you go through these things. Trust me. I think the company, based upon what we know, has reason to be growing their revenues and going higher from here, eventually. But as Warren Buffett says, I can't tell you where the stock is going to be in a month or 2 months or 3 months from now. And I would say the B shares are the B shares. They're not going to change. And so you have to decide if that's a poison pill for you, then I guess your option is, at this point, you can get out and move on. Okay? So I'm just trying to be honest with you. I'm always trying to be honest with you. I'm not here to come as a cheerleader, but I think those are your options. Before I close out, tomorrow I have to go to Chicago. I'm going to be taping something in the evening up there. Actually, it should be hopefully fun. Fun for me, a major political figure speaking. And I will not be able to do any video tomorrow. So whatever happens. You'll know that I'm not appearing because I can't. And then I'll be back on Wednesday and should be in for the rest of the week. So in the meantime, folks, it is what it is. I think we just got to, personally, I'm going to hold on. Again, depending upon what I just said, make your own decisions, do what's best for you and your family. And in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. Leave your comments, whatever they are, and we'll be in touch and seeing you on Wednesday.